All right, we're back in the studio. Jaden, thank you for getting in here despite the storms. Now we can make it happen here in our regular setup. Let's pick up with this. We talked about in the previous segment the killing, as I perceive it, a murder, another one, of a U.S. citizen, Alex Preddy, who was at a protest filming, staying out of the way, just walked over to help someone who had been shoved, and then ICE agents grabbed him, manhandled him to the ground. One of them discovered on the back waistline of his pants, there was a firearm that he was legally carrying and was not reaching for and was not brandishing and was not threatening anyone with, just had, which MAGA has said is the best thing you can possibly do all the time is having a gun. And then they took it off of him, and after removing it from him, shot him to death as he was completely unarmed, posing no threat. Horrific. And so one of the things we talked about, the details of that in the last segment, check that if you haven't seen it, and walked through the video piece by piece. Before getting to the subject of this particular segment, let me just show you one other little video someone put together where you can see unequivocally what I'm talking about here. This is after he was already grabbed for no reason. He was being peaceful, as I showed you in the other videos, just filming. He had his phone. That was it. And then walked over to help someone because they got shoved. And then they decided they needed to take him to the ground for some reason. And that's why sometimes this 8-second clip will be what people argue over, but it's like even this 8-second clip disputes what the Trump administration is saying. But even before that, what the heck is ICE doing to someone who was not interfering at all, was just standing there filming, bringing him to the ground like this, creating this situation at all? And so here you can see circled the gun it's right here. I'm circling podcast listeners. Picture Alex is shoved on the ground and the gun is on his back waist. And they take it off before they shoot him. So there was no reason to believe, despite him not even reaching for it, even if it was on him. So there's the gun taken off of him. You can see, and then that's when multiple shots go off. So with that being said, you have the facts being debated despite it all being on video. You have people pointing out, like Kyle Clark here, imagine if there was no video. They are willing to, with the video, look at us all in the eyes, Kristi Noem, say he stormed up to the ICE agents, brandishing a gun, threatening them violently. Just didn't even happen. Did not even happen. Showed you all that in the last segment. Imagine if there was no video. It's disturbing. And so then there's that, right? But then the other part of it is the hypocrisy. So as you move forward into the political debate, away from just the tragedy and the horrendous event we just watched and the fear that there's not going to be an accountability, then you move into the politics of it. And it's like, wait. You got Bessent, you got Kristi Noem, you got Bovino, all on the airwaves going, okay, maybe we got some facts wrong, but why did he have a gun in the first place? Even if he wasn't brandishing it. And it's like, no way. All of you have been saying, best thing you can do is concealed carry. Best thing you can do is have properly holstered on your body a gun. That makes everybody safer. That's what y'all have been arguing. And so because of that, an old Charlie Kirk post is going viral from 2018 where he posts this, and Sarah Longwell reposted it. The Second Amendment is not for hunting. It is not for self-protection. It is there to ensure that free people can defend themselves if, God forbid, government became tyrannical and turned against its citizens. And so I think the reason people are sharing this in particular is to see, would this get through to MAGA, who's now completely flipped around and is going, just the mere fact that he lawfully had a gun, even if he wasn't using it or threatening anyone with it, is justification to shoot him dead a bunch of times after it had already been removed off of him? Like, will that get here's Charlie Kirk back in 2018 saying this? I posted, so I guess they never actually cared about preventing tyranny. They just wanted it to be their tyranny. They talk so much about this dystopian world where we would need firearms to stop a tyrannical government, and we all have to have AR-15s or whatever, which obviously in this, that's not what Alex had. It was a handgun, but they would say almost any gun, however lethal or destructive it can be, we should all have, because if the government ever got tyrannical and agents of the government started violating your rights, then you would have to defend yourself with a gun. And it's like, holy smokes, I don't want people to get violent in response, and Alex didn't, to be clear. But is this not the exact dystopian scenario that you all played out in your head as to why we couldn't have gun regulations? Like, I saw even Marjorie Greene contradicting the White House, saying, if this was some MAGA journalist who lawfully had a gun on them and got killed like this, I don't think we would be justifying something to that effect. So you have that from Charlie Kirk. You have this video of Kristi Noem.
Why do the liberals and Joe Biden want our guns? Because it will make it easier for them to infringe on all of our other rights.
But now they're saying, while infringing on your other rights, which is already happening, not following normal legal processes for how they go about these ICE raids and not getting warrants to enter people's houses and et cetera, et cetera. So rights are already being violated. U.S. citizens being detained for no reason at all. That not even someone using a gun, because he didn't use it, he didn't even reach for it, but just having one by happenstance on them is enough for the government to kill you. That's what the small government people are now telling us. I mean, what? Remember this? Humongous guns MAGA people would bring to state capitals to protest, I guess, like COVID lockdowns and stuff, or stolen election things. Yeah, in lockdown. Look at these photos. Full rifles. And I want them to tell me if they think it would have been justified for Capitol Police to shoot them all down, to mow them all down because they had guns on them. And these are much more dangerous guns than the handgun Alex had. There's no consistency. No, of course not. Or, remember Kyle Rittenhouse? While we get into that piece of this, if you appreciate this show, if you want more of these updates, please do click the subscribe button if you appreciate, as I said, what we do. It's a very simple and free gesture, but it makes quite the difference. Kyle Rittenhouse went to a BLM protest, and he was a sort of right-wing anti-BLM protester and had a gun. I think it was an AR-15. And a melee occurred, and he ended up killing 2 people. And then won his self-defense, won with the self-defense argument at his trial. And he wasn't just, a guy that MAGA thought was doing it in self-defense. He was a hero for that. He was a Second Amendment hero. With a gun out visible, not a small gun in the back of his waistband, a gun out visible, going around a protest. And he was a hero, you might remember. But we're supposed to believe that Alex, who wasn't waving it around, who wasn't causing anything escalatory, it was okay for him to be killed just because of the mere fact he lawfully had a gun on his body. I mean, look at this comparison. 2026 Kash Patel versus 2021 Kash Patel.
You cannot bring a firearm loaded with multiple magazines to any sort of protest that you want. It's that simple. You don't have that right to break the law and incite violence.
We're raising money. If you have a case, we will review it for free, and we will cut the check to the lawyer to file your defamation case and get your day in court. If Kyle Rittenhouse's team is listening, or your audience is tweeting, this is what Fight with Cash is for. We will help Kyle Rittenhouse's defamation cases. We will pay for them by raising money so he can clear his name like I'm clearing mine.
So he's defending Kyle Rittenhouse, but then here he's saying you can't have a gun. And then he says something about violence. Nothing. Alex did nothing violent at all. And they act like he resisted. I mean, as much as any normal person, when random people start grabbing them and shoving them to the ground with no clear orders, would resist, but not really. He went right to the ground and then was just like bending over with his back to the officers. No threat at all. Another example of this split screen. Matt Walsh, Kyle Rittenhouse is a hero back then in 2021, and now an armed leftist went out with a gun, etc., etc. This was okay. I don't really even know how you have political conversations with people who are this inconsistent. And those aren't comparable situations either, to be clear. Because Alex wasn't even brandishing his weapon. He wasn't even holding it. So that's even less dangerous. Thomas Massey was responding to a U.S. attorney who said if you approach law enforcement with a gun, that always makes it sound like he was holding it. There's a high likelihood they will be legally justified in shooting you. Don't do it. So Thomas Massey, the Republican, responds saying carrying a firearm is not a death sentence. It's a constitutionally protected, God-given right. And if you don't understand this, you have no business in law enforcement or government. So credit to Thomas Massey for not going with the party line there. The account on X Blue said positions ICE has taken. We can enter your home without a warrant. You must carry your papers at all times, but we can ignore them and only our scanner matters. We can detain you anywhere, no matter your age, situation, or status, indefinitely with no access to a lawyer, and basically no right to a day in court. We can send you to a third world prison if we choose, but we can't bring you back if we made a mistake. And if you interfere with any of this, we can shoot you because you're a terrorist. How is this not a recipe for totalitarianism? It is totalitarianism. At least exhibiting the characteristics of totalitarianism, excuse me. And then just to show you, I mean, Kristi Noem, she's a really, I stay away from certain terms other people use, ascribing more spiritual terms to the intentions of humans. But there is something very, to take a little exception moment from that rule, there's something very soulless about watching her speak.
They have a statement out now where they say they're angry and that Alex was just trying to protect a woman who was pushed down by ice and pepper sprayed. But they also talked to the Associated Press and they said, we had this discussion with him 2 weeks ago or so, go ahead and protest, but do not engage, do not do anything stupid, basically. So what is your message this morning to Alex Preddy's parents? Just
that I'm grieved for them. I truly am. I can't even imagine losing a child, and I can't imagine a tragic situation. We can't have individuals that are impeding law enforcement operations and then showing up with guns and weapons and no ID and confronting law enforcement like that is one of the reasons that we see situations like this.
So, of course, she tried her very best to pretend like she cared and immediately went back to lying. And that's not true, what she said, just to restate. I don't know why she mentioned an ID. What does an ID have to do with anything? He didn't confront law enforcement. That's not what happened. He was walking, staying out of their way, filming, and then walked forward towards a woman who just got shoved to the ground to assist her. And as the ICE agent was pushing towards him, he kept reaching, trying to help the woman. That's it. There was no violent confrontation.